Now we bring on a guy that's been on a handful of times, and he is busy working, and that is a good thing. Manny Diaz, good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
We're good. And before we get to your team and practices and all that stuff, what was your reaction of the news yesterday with the Big Ten and the Pac-12 going, hey, we're just not going to be able to make football work in the fall?
Well, I think we knew a couple weeks ago when we all decided to go conference only that every conference was going to have to make the best decision for their individual league. And, there was precedence for this. I mean, this is, if you look at what happened, the first sports really back on the planet were the European soccer leagues, and all the countries kind of had to act, on their own. Germany was the first to play. France didn't play at all. England came online later. Just everybody kind of had to regroup and do what was best for the region of their country.
Manny, I was asked this question yesterday, and I knew we had a possibility of having you on the show. We had Blake James on back when he was on vacation in Maine. He was nice enough to come talk to us about all the scenarios and protocols and things that they were putting in place there. Your president is regarded as one of the leaders, not just in the ACC, but in major college athletics on infectious diseases, Dr. Julio Frank. What kind of conversations have you had with him? And what have you and Blake talked to him about as it relates to the return of athletics on your campus?
Well, even before the return of athletics, it's really the return of the general student body. And I just think we're so uniquely poised in this time to have a president who is an expert on infectious disease and has already, and has personally been involved in 4 other different pandemics in the past. So he has been this entire process a steady hand. We've been able to have great conversations with him and feedback, even when we brought the student athletes back in waves starting on June 15th, and sort of built it up, step by step. And I think some of the protocols we put in place with the student athletes over the summertime were the precursor to what will happen now with the general student body coming back here in a week's time.
All right, we just had a little preview of De'Ara King before we brought you on. You've had a couple practices now. You've had a chance to be around this kid. I know it's August the 12th. Still a lot of work to do, and knock on wood, we have a season. But your initial thoughts of what you've seen with Mr. King so far under center?
He's special. Special person, first and foremost. He's been through a lot of adversity this year. I think he's a guy that's got respect of everybody in the locker room because he can always make something happen. And he's, his accuracy throwing the football, I think, is underrated. But then you got to defend 2 plays. There's a play that, that's called, and then there's a play that he can create with his feet if that first play breaks down. So it's a very, very stressful proposition for the defense, and then again, but more than anything, just his humility and the way that he connects with all of his teammates, I think, is what's really drawn our guys to him.
Okay, the secret sauce with him was when Mark and I had him on the show, Coach. He lit up when we started talking about Rhett Lashley. Does the 2-back play action attack that Lashley brings, that seems like a real good fit now for what De'Ara King's skill set is?
It really is, and I think that was a big part of Derek coming here, and not just the scheme, even though that's certainly a big part of it, but really even just the success that Red had a year ago at SMU with a very similar circumstance, bringing Shane Bichelle in as a transfer quarterback, and Shane didn't even get in until June, and still threw for 8 million yards and all the touchdowns at SMU a year ago. So Derek knew it was a system that you could come in, easy to master, easy for the guys around you to play in and have a lot of success.
Coach, it's been interesting to talk to other coaches, not only within the ACC footprint, but even outside of it, in terms of mental discipline. And maybe this year more so than ever before, hey, everybody's excited about getting together with your teammates and working out and blood, sweat, tears and all that stuff. But, man, when you leave the facility, it has never been more important that you are mentally disciplined to understand, with, especially in Miami. I mean, you got 1,000 things you could go do if you wanted to. But, man, you got to be as true to your team and your teammates as you can possibly be in this pandemic. What have you discussed with your players from that perspective?
Yeah, you're exactly right. You've heard the term bubble, right? We see the NBA's in their bubble and MLS was in their bubble, the NHL. Well, we all have a bubble. you two have a bubble. You don't have to go to Orlando and be in a hotel to be in a bubble. The bubble is whoever you let within 6 feet of you without a mask on. That is your bubble. Every individual has a bubble, and that is a choice. It doesn't just happen haphazardly. So we have told our players that they have to respect their bubble, because anyone they bring into their bubble, they are bringing into our bubble, right? And of course, everyone talks about now with the student body coming back. But look, our guys have been here since June 15th, and we are in Miami. I mean, there are 18 to 22-year-olds hanging out in Miami just, when UM is not in session. So they have made good decisions. But the issue, and what we keep telling them, you saw the movement this week, hashtag we want to play. It's not about we want to play. It's nice to want things. We all want things. It's about doing the things necessary that we can play. And that to me is it's all that's happened this week. We haven't decided that we're playing. We've decided that we still have the right to try to do the things we need to do so that we can play. And that is in our control. It's not, what we've seen with the virus. It is a formidable enemy, but there are things that we can do to help control it, so whether that's, the last guy on the team that never gets in the game, if that guy brings a virus in our building, we have a bad situation, right? So everybody, your coaches say all the time, everybody's got a role to play on the team. It's never been more true this year. Everyone's got a role to play at all times.
I'm going to tell you, that's the absolute best answer I have heard to what this is going to boil down to. And you play in 28 days. You're the first team out of the gate in the ACC. And that sounds like that's been the message since mid-June to your team.
It has been. And look, we've been in Dade County, which our numbers are thankfully coming down. But, this summer it was, you're talking around 20% positivity rate, sometimes higher. And that trend has come down over the last 14 days. So what happens if it continues to come down over the next 14 days? But that's where I am very proud of our guys for what they were able to do in terms of our testing numbers all throughout the summer. But it doesn't matter. Like we say, these tests are like games, and you're only as good as your next game. So we can be proud of what we've done, but it doesn't matter because we know the next one's coming up, and we've got to continue to hold that standard.
Coach, obviously you would have loved to have had Gregory Rousseau back, and he opts out. And, listen, players, coaches, you got to do what you got to do. Walk us through that experience where you found out, and then how the team reacted in terms of, hey, now, next man up, let's go.
Yeah, it was it was definitely a unique experience. Greg and I had some conversations, and understanding back and forth. And what we always do as coaches, same thing, with our guys wanting to leave early, we just give them the information that's out there. We certainly aren't in the position to tell them what to do. But the irony is that I was on a press conference, and Greg texted me during the press conference that he had made up his mind. So that was an unusual way to hear about it. But we spoke afterwards, and told him that we wish him the best. He's a very popular guy on our team. He's a great human being. He's very good as a player. He is now the team. I think they're proud of one of their brothers, taking a step like that. But they were very excited about the next man up philosophy because everybody knows that we've got some really talented guys at that position, and I think everybody's really energized to get to work and put the type of defense together with our identity, with the tackle for losses and sacks, and our defensive line being as disruptive. We still think we can hold that standard.
All right, I don't want the hype of De'Aaron King and his arrival at Miami to get out of control without taking Quincy Roche with him, though, Manny, because to me, Roche is capable of having as much impact defensively maybe as King is offensively.
Yeah, Quincy is and he's been really, really good these first 5 days of practice. And let's also not sleep on Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips transferred and had to sit out last year from UCLA. Those two are a problem off the edge. And, and obviously it would have been fun to have Greg as well. But we've got, Quincy is a great leader. Just a real natural pass rusher, just so disruptive back there. And it's been fun to actually watch him take his role on the team and as an older guy, become more of a leader in that defensive line room. So, hey, look, it's college football. You got to be able to cover. You got to be able to rush the passer. And at Miami, we feel like we should always have a very disruptive defensive line. And we think Quincy, Jalen, Jafari Harvey, guys like that will give us a real great presence off the edge to get after the quarterback.
Manny, I know you can only control what you can control. But as we sit here on August the 12th, you've gone through some practices. You mentioned the guys have been together really for 2 months. You're doing everything you can to keep everybody safe and healthy. Are you more optimistic today that we could get and have start a season, and who knows where it goes, than you were at any point in time the last couple of months?
If you ask me, the optimism meter just in the last 48 hours has gone up, down, up, down. I mean, it's been all over the chart. If this year has taught us anything, it is do not think anything about 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, heck, even tomorrow. I think we have generally, as a team, it's been hard on our players, right? Even just to focus on practice with all the uncertainty that's out there. But what we tell them is like, look, the whole world's living in uncertainty right now. There's a lot of people that are out of work that'd love to have the opportunity to work. That this pandemic has taken that opportunity away from them. So let's just be where our feet are. I think we've had a sense of gratitude that we're even just back together. We know that even just this first week of practice was not promised to us. Let's appreciate the structure. Let's appreciate the community, all these things that were taken away from us, March, April, and May. And then we'll find out what happens in September. Let's earn the right to play in September.
Quick follow-up here before we close. We've talked to several coaches, football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, golf, you name it, we've kind of talked to them. Mental health, mental health has come up more than once. Are you concerned about that as a football coach, of guys getting to the precipice of playing, potentially not playing then? What you saw your colleagues in the Big Ten and Pac-12 go through yesterday? Jeff Capel brought it up to us last week, Pac, right? And he's the second or third guy or person to specifically mention mental health to us, Manny, since we came back on the air in early June.
More than anything, absolutely. I mean, we started seeing it in the springtime. Structure, community, identity. Those are three big things in all of our lives, right? Structure, community, identity. We've had our structure taken away. We've built it back. Like as you mentioned, the student athletes in the Big Ten and the Pac-12, they just had their structure taken away. Community, the sense of team, the sense of belonging to something. We all need something in life, a team, a church, an organization, something. You've got to belong to something that's greater than yourself, right? That is one thing a team provides. When you have that taken away, of course, we were physically apart in the springtime. And then identity, look, if someone asks you guys, what do you guys do? You're going to say, oh, I'm on the ACC Network. I mean, we are in part defined by what we do, certainly there's other things that we want to define ourselves by in the greater scheme of things. But look, that's just all part of who we are. And if you've been playing football since you were 6 years old and outstanding at it, and then suddenly you've had your identity taken away, and that is difficult. Those are three things that are real issues, and we have been talking to our players about that over and over again.
Well, we wish you the best, and stay healthy and all that good stuff. I know you've heard it 1,000 times, but as you mentioned, we are living in unprecedented times, and we just hope we can get to the starting point for a 2020 college football season.
We can hear it 100 times. We can hear it 1,000 times. It never gets old, and that's what we have to do. We all got to take care of each other. Everybody stay healthy. We're at the end of the day, we're all on the same team, right? That's what we're learning about this deal, and you got to protect your teammates, and that's hopefully our guys are getting the message.
Cool. Manny Diaz, thanks always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Okay.